newborn foal drops onto the grass, wet and trembling, and within an hour it is standing. Within a day it can run. A baby wildebeest can keep pace with a stampeding herd minutes after it is born. A kitten, a piglet, a fawn. Give them a few weeks and they are exploring, feeding, surviving on their own. Now look at a human baby. Lay it down and it will do almost nothing. It cannot walk, it cannot crawl, it cannot roll over, hold up its own head, or even reach for the food that is right in front of it. It cannot cling to you the way a baby monkey clings to its mother. It simply hasn't the strength. Leave it alone for a single day and it will die. And this helplessness does not last for hours or weeks. It lasts for years. By almost every measure that matters in the animal kingdom, a human baby is one of the most useless creatures ever born. Which raises a genuinely strange question. We are the smartest, most dominant species this planet has ever produced. We reshaped the entire world to suit us. So why do we begin our lives more helpless than almost anything else alive? Why are human babies so useless? The answer is not a flaw in our design. It is the price of everything that makes us human. To see why, you have to know that biologists split the animal world into two kinds of newborn. On one side are the precocial animals, born ready. Their eyes are open, their legs work, their brains are already wired for the basics of staying alive. The foal, the wildebeest, the guinea pig, they arrive as small, functioning versions of the adult. On the other side are the altricial animals, born unfinished, blind, bald, immobile, utterly dependent. Picture a newborn mouse or a baby bird, pink and helpless in the nest. For the most part, these two strategies track size and safety. Small animals hidden away in burrows and nests can afford to be born early and helpless. Large animals out in the open, the ones that get hunted, cannot. Their young have to be able to run on day one. By that logic, a human, a large primate, should sit firmly in the precocial camp. And our closest relatives nearly do. A newborn chimpanzee can cling to its mother's fur and hold its own head up within days. But we broke the pattern. We are a large, intelligent animal that gives birth to young as helpless as a creature born in a burrow. Biologists have a name for this contradiction. We are secondarily altricial. And to understand it, you have to look at two things that happen to the human body. The first is the brain. Over the last few million years, the human brain ballooned to a size no primate had ever carried, around 3 times larger than a chimpanzee's, an organ so hungry and so vast that it comes to define our entire species. But a big brain needs a big skull to hold it, and that is where the trouble starts. Because the second thing that happened to us is that we stood up. When our ancestors began walking upright on 2 legs, the pelvis had to be completely rebuilt. A pelvis good for walking is narrow, bowl-shaped, and compact. It has to keep your legs underneath you and your stride efficient. But the birth canal runs straight through the middle of that pelvis, and so we ended up with 2 demands pulling in exactly opposite directions, a brain, and therefore a head, that wanted to grow bigger and bigger, and a birth canal that, thanks to walking upright, could not get any wider. Scientists call this collision the obstetrical dilemma. Something had to give. Evolution could not widen the exit without wrecking our ability to walk. It could not shrink the brain without wrecking the very thing that made us us. So it found a third way out, a compromise that solved the problem, and in solving it, created the useless human baby. The solution was brutally simple. Don't wait. Give birth early. Almost every strange thing about human infancy follows from that single decision. A human baby is, in a very real sense, born too soon. Compared with other primates, we are evicted from the womb at a far earlier stage of development, while the head is still small enough to pass through. If we were born as neurologically finished as a newborn chimp, pregnancy would not last 9 months, it would run closer to 18 or 20. But no human pelvis could ever deliver a baby that big. So the baby comes out early, unfinished, still half fetal. This is why scientists sometimes call a newborn's first 3 months the 4th trimester, a stretch of development that in any other animal would happen safely inside the mother, but in us happens out here, in the open air, in your arms. Your newborn is, quite literally, an external fetus. And the most important part of it, the brain, is nowhere near done. A human brain does most of its growing after birth, roughly tripling in size across the first years of life. That helplessness you see in a newborn is not emptiness. It is a brain still under construction, wiring itself at a furious pace. The uselessness and the intelligence are the same thing, seen at two different moments in time. For decades, that was the whole story. The baby is helpless because its head barely fits, and evolution split the difference by shipping it out early. It is a clean, satisfying explanation, and recent science suggests it isn't quite the whole truth. When researchers actually measured how much a wider pelvis would slow a woman down, the penalty for walking and running turned out to be surprisingly small. And if a roomier birth canal cost us so little, why didn't evolution simply grant one? A newer idea points somewhere unexpected, not to the width of the hips, but to the limits of the mother's own metabolism. Growing a human baby is staggeringly expensive. By the end of pregnancy, a mother's body is running close to the ceiling of what it can physically sustain, burning energy at a rate that cannot climb much higher without doing her harm. This idea is called the energetics of gestation and growth, and it argues that birth is triggered not simply when the head gets too big, but when the mother can no longer supply enough energy to keep growing the baby inside her. The baby leaves the womb because the womb has hit its metabolic limit. Either way, whether it is the narrow canal, the metabolic ceiling, or both working together, the outcome is identical. The human baby arrives early, small, and profoundly unfinished. And here is where the whole story turns, because that unfinished baby did not weaken us, it built us. Start again with the brain. A chimp is born with its neural wiring mostly locked in, shaped by genes in the darkness of the womb. A human brain does the opposite. It does most of its wiring out here, flooded with light and language and faces and the endless information of the real world. A baby that finishes itself outside the body is a baby whose mind is shaped by its world instead of sealed away from it. That is the very foundation of human learning, human culture, human language, the whole open-ended intelligence that separates us from every other animal. The helplessness bought us the most adaptable brain on Earth. But a creature that helpless, for that long, could never be raised by one exhausted mother alone. A human infant is simply too much work for a single pair of hands. And so our uselessness forced us to become something almost no other ape truly is: cooperative. Fathers who stay. Grandmothers who provision long after they can have children of their own. One likely reason human females live for decades past their fertile years, while their grandchildren survive at higher rates. Aunts, siblings, the whole group pitching in to carry and feed and guard a child for years on end. Scientists call it cooperative breeding, and it may be one of the deepest roots of human society itself. The helpless baby did not just need a village, it created one. So step back and look at what this uselessness really is. A human baby cannot walk, cannot cling, cannot survive an afternoon on its own. And every part of that is the direct cost of the two things that made our species extraordinary. A brain too big to finish inside the womb, and a body rebuilt to walk upright across the world. To fit both, we had to be born early, helpless, and unfinished. But that same helplessness handed us a brain that wires itself to reality, and forced us into the deep cooperation that became family and society and culture. The most useless newborn in the animal kingdom grows into the only animal that builds cities, writes symphonies, and asks out loud why its own babies are so helpless. It was never a flaw. It was the strangest, most powerful trade our species has ever made. So the next time you watch a newborn do absolutely nothing, unable even to lift its own head, remember that you are looking at the price of being human, and at the very first moments of the most powerful brain evolution has ever built. If this changed the way you see something as ordinary as a helpless baby, that's exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe and I'll keep pulling apart the ancient biology hiding inside your everyday life.